there's liquidity sweep, there's a fair value gap, and let's say it's the low of the previous day. Like
Yeah,
if
so
those three are confirmed, then
yeah.
okay, yeah, perfect. Now I get it.
And if I don't have three,
Yeah.
I don't enter. Don't enter. If I have a 4, 5, even 6 confluence trade, that's to me a A+ setup. I have so much factors that are backing up my entry. I can put a little bit more leverage on the table.
On the simulated funded account, when you got the 13K in payout, you also did several trades on currency pairs, and on each of those currency pairs, you haven't closed a single losing trade. Hello, Jared. How are you doing?
Good. And yourself?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Thank you for taking the time and for making this interview happen, because you recently, if I'm not mistaken, 1 or 2 months ago, got a payout of $13,000. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So if we
Thank you
can
for having me.
share some insights with, yeah, no problem. So we maybe can pass some insights and tips for beginners who are trying to, as well as you, pass and got simulated funded account and start earning with the prop firm. Before we actually dive into some trading tips, your strategy, and things like that, can you do some sort of a quick, brief introduction of yourself? Just how did you start trading? What led you to start trading in the first place?
All right. So I first glanced at trading a couple years ago, probably around the pandemic or around the end of the pandemic. And I had started with high frequency Forex, and it was okay, but I was never really fully focused at it at the time. A lot going on, but the charts always, kind of spoke to me. And it wasn't until towards the end of last year that I really started getting back serious with it, because trading is hard, but it's not necessarily hard. It depends on your discipline to the market. So if you can have a good relationship with the market, it's not necessarily the hardest thing in the world, but it's your relationship. So just like with your family or anybody, the better relationship that you have, the better you could communicate. So I recently, the beginning of the year is when I started getting back serious trading. I found EA through a friend, and that's where the journey kind of started again.
Okay. And how many evaluation you have been trading, or you traded before you passed to the simulated funded stage?
I believe
Can you
about
do you
maybe
remember?
3, 4, maybe. Yeah, in that range, 3 or 4. Because I was just getting back into it,
Okay.
and a lot of it was I'm trying to get rich tomorrow, and not having a strategy,
Yeah.
just starting out trying to make money. But we all know that's not the easiest way.
Yeah. But eventually the payout covered all of the cost of the previous account, if I'm not
Everything.
mistaken. And you have been always trading EAT1 account with us?
Yes. E81. That's the only one I've ever
Yeah.
used. Yeah.
Why do you prefer trading EAT1, if I may ask? Is it because it's single phase, so you can get into simulated funded stage faster, or is there any
Yeah,
reason for
single
that being?
phase. Over other prop firms and stuff, I like the single phase. I like the customability of it as well, and it's the quickest straight to. I could get payout, and 24-hour payout
Yeah.
does sound lovely, as well.
Yeah. Okay. From the accounts that you unfortunately couldn't pass to simulated funded stage, can you think of any tips that you would pass to beginners or even slightly advanced traders who are struggling with the same, like being hard to pass to the simulated funded stage? You eventually did it, but it also cost you experience, and you gain experience along the way. But do you have any insights, tips that you would give to the traders who are still trying to pass it and
Yeah,
not being successful with it?
I would definitely say risk. You can make a lot of
Which,
money, but you can also lose a lot of money. So instead of just aiming for I want to make 5K on a trade, or I want to make this. You have to initially realize how much can you risk safely, not just I'm willing to risk 4,000, 5,000 to make 10,000, where your overall daily drawdown is only 4,000. So you have to really pay attention to where your account is and what do you have in your risk to reward ratio. And then another thing I would
Yeah.
say is always strategy. Anybody
Hmm.
can, enter or exit a trade, but why are you entering? Why are you exiting? What is giving you the confidence to click the button? Clicking the button is the easy part, but analyzing and understanding why you're clicking the button, and once you understand why you're clicking the button, it also connects to how much you're willing to risk. So
Yeah.
they go hand in
Understand.
hand a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely agree that risk management is one of the most important factors in trading, if not even most important one, along with the strategy. So one thing that I've seen when reviewing your evaluations and your simulated funded account was that, and when speaking about strategies, was that you are trading a Nasdaq index and then several currency pairs, right?
Yep.
And when you were speaking about that, it is important to have a strategy. Do you have different strategies for trading indexes and different strategy when you trading currencies, or is that one strategy fit all?
It's one strategy. I just look at the indices. Like I mostly trade NAS, US 30, GBP, and Euro USD. But the difference between the two is that I've come to see that like the indices, they're a little bit more volatile. So I would be a little bit more cautious before I enter like at certain places. But overall, it's the same strategy because it's just patterns. So the same patterns that are on NAS might not be on Euro USD or GBP, but they have their own patterns for those
Yeah.
currencies. So it's the same strategy. It's just that you have to tailor it to what you're looking at specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was very interested in it because I saw that on the simulated funded account when you got the 13K in payout, you also did several trades on currency pairs, and on each of those currency pairs, you haven't closed a single losing trade. Like there were a few losing trades that you had on Nasdaq, but
Yeah.
outside of the Euro CAD, GBP Australian dollar, or US dollar and Japanese yen, you didn't close a single losing trade, which is kind of very surprising to me. And that's why I just wanted to ask, like, if you are specifically focused on indexes and why, because it seems like it's working when you're trading Forex.
No, that's something I realized also because I realized over the time I also used to trade gold a lot. And when you
Mm-hmm.
trade like some of those high volatility pairs, when you get something that's more stable like GBP or JPY or CAD, they do fluctuate. They do have a lot of volatility, but it's a little bit more predictable when you're touching gold or you're touching Nasdaq all the time when a simple news come out and it could push 300 pips, 400 pips in one candle. So I definitely feel like the currency pairs are something that I do still look at, but I just haven't been trading recently because Nasdaq was just showing me so much love over like, the last, month or two.
Yeah, okay. And maybe the last question that comes to my mind before we dive into your strategy,
Hmm.
into your approach to market, is that you eventually failed the evaluation because of the trading drawdown as you
Yes.
requested the payout entirely. Was that intentionally, or you didn't know that if you get the payout entirely, you then will fail the evaluation? Because from what I know, there are two type of traders. The
Hmm.
first one who don't really care about failing the trading drawdown because then you've got a capital to purchase new evaluations. And then there are traders who weren't familiar with this rule objective, whatever we call it.
Nah, yeah, it was the rule. I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that when I take the payout, it goes against my trailing drawdown. So when I entered the position, I'm like, if my key level isn't taken out, I'm willing to hold. But then when it closed
Yeah.
me out, I was a little bit what happened? But then I realized I only had 2,000 in drawdown left. So yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I ended up failing it.
Okay. Uh,
I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm a
Perfect.
great
Now.
person where I feel like if you're on a live, try to keep the live as long as possible. So I don't feel like it's
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
blow it just because you made some money.
Yeah, okay. I just now realized that you left actually $2,000 for your drawdown because I didn't see it there. But now when you were speaking about it, I saw it and it makes sense. Yeah, I was actually making a video trying to convince traders to keep something on either one account because sometimes it's way harder to get into the multi-funded stage. So once you're there, just try to turn it over once again. Just keep it for
Yeah,
one, two
it's not
losing
worth
trades.
it's not worth
Yeah,
the risk. It's not worth the risk. And I kept the money, not even knowing about the rule. I just kept because like I would want a buffer, like you always want a buffer just in case you go on a
yeah,
little losing streak or you just have a little bit of drawdown. You have a little bit of capital just to sit on. But yeah, I had no clue. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah. No problem. You'll know next time.
Yeah,
So
yeah, definitely.
might play differently. Okay, perfect. I'm going to stop sharing screen,
Hmm.
and if you can then share your screen, and we can talk a bit about your trading strategy, about your approach to risk.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. So how I start my day, I outline, there's indicators for it, but I outline the previous day high, previous day low,
Mm-hmm.
and that allows me to see the range that the market has been in. Fortunately, the last couple weeks, we've kind of been ranging a bit, but I haven't, set it up for today as I just got on the markets. But what I look for, like this is a trade I took yesterday for Nasdaq. I like either breakouts or I would say I use more of a confluence strategy. So I would have a couple of confluences that I would like to see that will get me to enter a trade. So whether if I have a bullish daily bias, I would want to see a pre New York session sweep of liquidity, or I would like to see a order block that has been building up momentum. I would see I would like to see a fair value gap that was either tapped back into, and then we have a rejection off of that to continue the bullish trend. Um, and like what I also
Okay.
do is like I mark out previous liquidity levels that the market may respect off of. And like this NAS trade from yesterday, it didn't hit full TP, but I'm not one of those guys that are gonna risk my trade because of 10, 20 pips, like I'm a
Yeah.
big advocate for taking profit. If you're $500 away from your TP, are you willing to risk $2,000, $3,000 that you made in profit over
Mhm.
another $500? It's not a good
Yeah.
risk to reward ratio. Like my we're gonna look at U30 for yesterday. U30 was also a perfect trade. I normally look at the daily for the bias. I'll go 4 hour and 1 hour just for stores of liquidity. But I'm normally just watching on the 15 minute. And yesterday we saw we were buying off. I mean, we were sold off. We had some news come out yesterday. We had a push before
Mhm.
market open, a, a liquidity tap right back to the order block. We saw a push up. We were Once I saw that break a trend, entered,
Mhm.
and the rest of that was history.
Okay. Looks very interesting, this strategy. Just a few questions, if I
Hmm.
may. The
Yeah.
order block is some sort of an indicator that you use,
Yes.
or is it you manually draw it on in your charts?
No, I use the indicator just to make it a little bit easier. I use the
Okay.
indicator for that. Yeah.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you also said that you are using fair value gaps. Uh,
Yes.
was this also an example where the fair value gap, because you said we were sold out and then we were reversing, then
Yes.
basically we had this big bullish candle, in London, and once we basically created some sort of a candle with the very big shadow, uh, where probably sellers weren't interested.
Mhm.
Is this the example of also considering the fair value gap in your trade, like in this specific
Yes.
example with
I,
Dow Jones Index?
That's exactly what happened right here. It's not showing right now because it was swept already. There was a bearish fair value gap that we were inversing. So it came back
Mm-hmm.
into it because it didn't break below or close below. Once we inverse that bearish fair value gap, I knew that the buyers were way more strong in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to see how it reacted off of these liquidity levels. And if you could see, like, I am a big liquidity person. We got a big bounce off of this
Yeah.
liquidity level once we got a break above this previous day low,
Mm-hmm.
and we broke out of structure. This little downtrend, small downtrend that we were in right here temporarily. That's when I entered, and I just
Mm-hmm.
held it because we had huge volatility to
Okay.
the upside.
And the liquidity points or liquidity levels, is this something that you mark yourself manually? Just
Yes,
like
yes.
finding a place where market reacts, or level, price level where market reacts to that level, and to
Yes,
just
I marked
keep
that
it
out
as a
manually.
liquidity point?
Yes, I marked that out manually
Okay,
myself.
okay, perfect. What I see, you also have kind of tight stop losses. Is this something that you use all the time? On this specific example, it looks like 1 to 4 risk reward ratio. Is this
Yeah.
like your usual trading plan that you use?
It really depends on the volatility for the day because
Mm-hmm.
so what I also realized why I use certain pairs together, just like Euro USD and GBP, they kind of follow each other, to a bit. So
Correlation.
one might be lagging behind. So because I saw the volatility of NAS, I knew that US 30 had to push. And because of that, once we also
Yeah.
got the
Okay.
inverse of the fair value gap, it's like the fair value gap was coming all the way down here. But would I really want to risk all of that? No. So I kept it a little bit tight because if we come back to retest that fair value gap again, it's a big chance that we could push down. So I just kept it a
Yeah.
little bit tighter on this trade. But I really don't. Sometimes I'll trade a 1 to 2. Sometimes I'll. It just depends on what the market gives me. Like
Yeah. Understand that.
like
And speaking of risk management, do you risk usually the same percentage of your balance? Let's say like 1% on a trade, or do you also change that according to what is happening in the market, what's the setup, and so on?
Yeah, I change it based off the setup. So I have like a rule for myself. If it's a 3 confluence trade, I might risk 1 to 2 because
Okay.
I I might not see the full potential. So I might risk 1 to 2. If I have a 4, 5, even 6 confluence trade, that's to me a plus setup. I have so much
Mhm.
factors that are backing up my entry. I can put a little bit more leverage on the table.
Yeah. So meaning three confluence trade meanings like all the strategies like there's liquidity sweep, there's a fair value gap,
Hmm.
and let's say it's the low of the previous day. Like
Yeah,
if
so that
those
would
three are confirmed, then
yeah.
okay, yeah, perfect. Now I get it.
And if
Okay,
I
and maybe
don't have
last,
three,
yeah.
and if I don't have three, I don't enter. Don't enter. I
Okay,
need a
okay. So
three
you
to
always
minimum
answer
two.
when you have all three of them, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's smart. It's smart to have some sort of a trading plan when you have points that market needs to meet in order for you to answer. Yeah, perfect. And maybe the last question about the strategy, because I've been asked so many times, do you sometimes, and I think it's important, do you also sometimes trades close trades manually, like when it's not goes with you in your favor, it goes against you, do you close it manually, or just you let it run as long as it doesn't hit your stop loss?
That's really a case by case basis, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big person where like when I'm in the trade, I also begin to reanalyze what's going on. So if I see like one of my 3 confluences, if one gets broken while I'm in the trade, or maybe one I thought it was supporting, but it's not supporting, then I will close, but I only close when either momentum starts dying down, or let's say I forgot that news were coming out. We have strong news that is going against what I thought was going to happen, or if I see
Yeah.
a doji on a higher time frame, I know it's either going to be a reversal or something is going to change within the market. So I do manual close sometimes, yes. Like even on the
Okay.
the Nas trade yesterday, I manual close because I saw that the volume was dying down. We started consolidating a little bit, especially like on the 5 minute. We started consolidating a little bit. I said, just let me get out, take my profit, and walk away.
Okay, understand that. Looks really interesting, this strategy to me. I like that you have some sort of a trading plan that you need to meet some criteria in order to enter. You have risk management managed, obviously. So yeah, I like it a lot. Good job. Okay, thank you very much for sharing your strategy. You can
Already.
cancel this screen sharing so we don't take much of internet connection.
Already.
And just before we end, maybe I would like to ask you some tips for beginners, maybe even advanced professional traders within in markets community to pass some knowledge. Uh, what would be your tip to traders who are trying to now take on evaluation, like just purchasing maybe the first one, second one, and they just want to start trading with a prop firm?
It's not about the size of the account.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
And the next thing I would say is discipline, because you can have a 50K account, you can have a 100K account, but if you don't have the discipline, somebody with the discipline can make 60K off a 50K account, 30K off a 50K account, and somebody else could take a 5K payout off of a 100K account. So it's not necessarily the account, it's the discipline and having a strategy.
Understand. Okay. And on the other hand, would you think, or maybe you have, you might also do some mistakes, or you did some mistakes on your journey, and what do you think are the mistakes that traders usually do, and they should be avoiding them, like some common mistakes that you saw in your trading journey, or generally speaking, that traders do in trading, which is well known, but still repeating them, still making the same mistakes. Do you have any tips for that?
Yes. One that I had a problem with is
Mm-hmm.
revenge trading.
Oh yeah.
Revenge trading is a monster, because there was a time where I was up 2,000 on a $3,000 valuation. So all I had to do was make another $1,000. I ended up
Mm-hmm.
losing. I was trading gold at the time. I ended up losing about like 700, 800, and I was mad because I was
Oh.
only $1,000 away from passing the account. What do I do on a Sunday? Soon as market open, I just start entering on gold, blew the account. So I could have walked away with just a $700, $800 loss and just come back on Monday, but
Yeah.
I couldn't walk away from the market after taking that loss.
Yeah, so try to be a little bit more humble. I would be the advice not to be too greedy sometimes. Some
Yes.
profits are better than no profits at all. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I also,
Yeah.
another thing for me that I realized was you need to have a schedule. You're not
Hmm.
supposed to be trading all day long, all night long. Stick to, if you trade London, trade New York, trade London, trade New York. If you only trade New York, trade New York. Don't see if you see a A+ setup and it's Asian, stick to the plan. You said only London, only New York. That's when you should be trading.
Hmm. Yeah. Also, one point that I would like to get back to was we were messaging on Instagram, and you said yeah you recently take or took a break from the
Yeah,
trading.
yeah,
And we also agree that it's kind of important for traders.
yes.
Would you mind to give me a little bit more information? Why did you take the break in the first place? Or do you take often breaks from trading just to recharge and come back fresh?
So I took the break because life goes up and down. So I took the break because my discipline was getting a little falter, but it's because I was stressed or because I was a little bit tired or I wasn't getting enough sleep or I wasn't waking up on time. And a big thing for me was like I wasn't in the gym. When I'm in the gym,
Mhm.
my trading is better. When I'm waking up on
Okay.
time, my trading is better. So I hadn't been in the gym for a little bit. I was waking up whenever, and I was like, nah, I need to get back on routine. And so I took a
Yeah.
little break, got myself back into that rhythm, and now I'm back.
Okay. That's smart actually. When I'm thinking about it, like at the same time, when you're keeping your body healthy, your mind healthy, trade at that time. But once you basically fall from that routine, just
Yeah,
avoid trading because you might do more mistakes, you might lose more accounts. Yeah, that's actually very smart.
yeah.
Thank you for that tip. And probably the last question that I would have on you is, what was your experiences to provide not tips, but review for traders who might not know EAD markets? What is your, generally speaking, experience trading with the EAD markets with us?
Um, it's actually been pretty good. I haven't used too much prop firms, but I've seen people that use others, or I've been around people that use multiple different ones. But
Mm-hmm.
so far, I've like one of my friends. He was a big, trader of like a couple other platforms. I put him onto E8, and he's been on E8 since. So it's smooth. It doesn't lag. Um, I had a little one incident with it, but it wasn't a big deal. Payout quick. That's lovely.
Okay. Yeah.
And you guys get
Uh,
discounts all the time for your evaluation, so that's really cool. And now overall, I would give it 10 out of 10.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for that review. We appreciate it. Trying to improve on every step with traders. Yeah, that would be probably it from me.
All right.
Thank you so much for making the time and all your effort to making this interview happen in the first place. I appreciate your tips, sharing your approach to markets. I think that traders will find it very insightful. And I wish you the best of luck in the future trading
Yes,
with
sir.
us, or even if you want to decide to trade us with us again, then best of luck in your trading and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, yes, you too, brother. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Take care.
All right.